You clicked because you saw it. The clip that shook daytime television to its core. Sunny Hostin booed off stage after trying to disrespect Samuel L. Jackson. America explodes in applause. Yes, it happened. Live. Unedited. And in front of millions. When The View thought they were booking a light-hearted Hollywood legend to boost ratings, they didn't expect a moment to become a national reckoning on arrogance, legacy, and respect. Before we get into the madness that unfolded live on ABC, tell us in the comments where you're watching from. It helps the story travel further, because this isn't just about a talk show gone wrong. This is about a Hollywood icon who reminded America what real class looks like. It was supposed to be a regular Tuesday broadcast. The View's iconic studio buzzed with the usual electricity, coffee cups steaming, producers whispering countdowns, and co-hosts reviewing cue cards under blinding lights. But the tension that morning was different. The guest list read, Special guest, Samuel L. Jackson, legendary actor, producer, and activist. The man who brought the world Pulp Fiction, Avengers, and Coach Carter. A cinematic titan whose voice alone could silence a room. But not today, because Sunny Hostin, the show's boldest and most outspoken panelist, had other plans. She'd been teasing the segment all morning with a smirk. You know, I have a few real questions for Mr. Jackson, she said to the audience. The kind you can't script. Whoopi Goldberg, sensing trouble, chuckled nervously. Sunny, now don't get yourself in trouble with another legend. Sunny grinned. It's just conversation. I'm not afraid of Hollywood royalty. The audience laughed. But somewhere backstage, a producer sighed. Because if you know Samuel L. Jackson, you know he doesn't do disrespect quietly. The lights dimmed. The announcer's voice echoed through the studio. Please welcome Academy Award-winning actor, producer, and global icon, Samuel L. Jackson. The audience erupted. Standing ovation. Cheers. Even a few "We love you, Sam" shouts. He walked out wearing a tailored gray suit, purple tie, calm, cool, lethal charm in every step. He greeted Whoopi first with a warm hug. Joy Behar got a fist bump. Then he turned to Sunny. She extended her hand, smirking. Mr. Jackson, pleasure to finally meet the man who's been yelling at audiences for 40 years. He laughed politely, only when they deserve it. The crowd chuckled. The energy was still friendly. But something behind Sunny's eyes hinted she wanted to test him. The discussion began smoothly. They talked about the Marvels, Hollywood strikes, and his advocacy for fair pay in the industry. But then Sunny leaned forward, her tone sharpening. Samuel, you had one of the longest careers in Hollywood history, but some critics say your roles lean too much on attitude, not range. Do you think people respect you because of your acting or just your personality? A gasp rippled through the audience. Even Joy Behar raised an eyebrow. Samuel paused. That's an interesting question, he said slowly. I'd say people respect me because I've earned it, by showing up, working hard, and being myself. Sunny smirked. Or maybe they're just scared of you. The audience laughed awkwardly, unsure if it was a joke. Samuel's eyes narrowed slightly. The shift was subtle, but unmistakable. Fear and respect are cousins, he said coolly. But one gets you fired. The other gets you remembered. The crowd cheered. Sunny leaned back, arms folded, pretending not to care. But the temperature in the room had changed. Moments later, Sunny tried again, this time with a smirk that didn't belong on live television. You talk a lot about legacy, Mr. Jackson, but do you think shouting in movies really leaves a mark on culture? Whoopi interjected, Sunny, come on. But Samuel raised a hand. Let her talk, he said calmly. He turned to Sunny. See, what's funny is that every generation thinks loudness is a lack of depth, until they realize it's the only way people in my generation were heard. You don't get to judge my tone until you've lived through my silence. Applause. The studio audience roared, clapping, standing. Sunny rolled her eyes. I just think some actors confuse aggression with influence. Samuel leaned forward, eyes locked on hers. And some hosts confuse provocation with intelligence. Boom. The crowd exploded. People stood. Some cheered, others gasped. Sunny froze. Whoopi's face went pale. Joy covered her mouth. Sunny, flustered, tried to recover. Well, we're all entitled opinions here, she said. Samuel smirked. True, but opinions don't excuse disrespect. The audience started chanting, something the View had never heard before. Samuel, Samuel. Sunny attempted to laugh it off, but the boos started. One audience member shouted, respect the legend. Sunny's composure cracked. All right, we're moving on. But Samuel wasn't done. No, let's stay on it, he said firmly. Let's talk about respect. You see, young folks like to challenge legends until they realize the shoulders they're standing on belong to the very people they mock. The crowd roared again. Even Whoopi looked stunned, whispering, that's a sermon. Within hours, the clip hit YouTube, Twitter, X, and TikTok. Hashtag Respect the Legend trended worldwide. One caption read, Samuel L. Jackson just taught a masterclass in Dignity Live on TV. Another said, Sunny Hostin tried to humble a legend, ended up getting humbled instead. By midnight, ABC's comment sections flooded. Fire Sunny. Cancel The View. Samuel Jackson equals national treasure. Even A-list celebrities joined the wave. Jamie Foxx reposted the clip with the caption, Never play with greatness. Salute to the king. By day 2, the controversy had reached corporate headquarters. ABC released a mild statement. The View encourages open dialogue and spirited debate, but fans weren't buying it. Petitions calling for Sunny's removal gathered over 500,000 signatures within 48 hours. Meanwhile, Samuel L. Jackson stayed silent. No interviews. No comments. Just one tweet. Respect isn't demanded. It's demonstrated. That tweet alone garnered 3 million likes and became the quote that defined the week. Sources leaked that producers were furious. Several co-hosts privately apologized to Samuel's team. Whoopi reportedly told staffers, we messed with the wrong man. That's a man who built this industry for us to have microphones. Executives scrambled for damage control. They invited Samuel to return, not as a guest, but as a speaker on respect in Hollywood. He agreed, and what happened on that follow-up episode will become one of the most watched moments in daytime television history. Because this time, Samuel wasn't there to defend himself. He was there to deliver a message. It was a Thursday afternoon when ABC dropped a headline that sent shockwaves to the industry. Samuel L. Jackson returns to The View for a special episode on respect. Producers called it a conversation about grace. Viewers called it Judgment Day. The announcement alone drew 8 million impressions in 12 hours. Fan tweets rolled in like drum beats. He's coming back to finish the lesson. Sunny better bring notes and humility. Sunny Hostin herself stayed silent, but insiders said she looked shaken in the morning briefing. Keep it professional, the executive producer warned. No sarcasm, no shade. She nodded, but her eyes betrayed a flicker of defiance. Friday's broadcast felt different. The audience was packed, journalists, students, even off-duty actors. Every seat filled, every phone ready to capture history. When Whoopi Goldberg took her moderator's chair, the crowd roared. But as soon as she said, "Today, we welcome back the legendary Samuel L. Jackson," the applause turned thunderous. He entered in a deep blue suit, calm, collected, that unmistakable blend of swagger and authority. He shook Whoopi's hand first. Joy Behar clapped his shoulder. Then he turned towards Sunny. A pause. Not hostility, gravity. She smiled thinly. "Welcome back, Mr. Jackson." He nodded once. "Thank you, Ms. Hostin. Let's have a good talk this time." The audience murmured. They could feel the electricity building. Whoopi began, careful and diplomatic. "Samuel, the last time you were here, the internet had opinions. We appreciate you coming back to continue that discussion." Samuel chuckled. "Well, you know me, Whoopi, I don't duck from conversation, especially when it's about respect." Sunny leaned forward. "And we thank you for being gracious enough to come back after, the misunderstanding." He raised an eyebrow. "Misunderstandings when I forget your name. Disrespect is when you forget my history." The room gasped. He wasn't here to play. "Let me tell you something," Samuel said, voice calm but commanding. When you've been in this business 50 years, you learn that talent gets you in a room, but respect keeps the lights on. Applause thundered. He continued, "You can disagree with a man's art. You can question his choices. But when you try to shrink his legacy to make room for your ego, that's not journalism. That's insecurity wearing makeup." Sunny shifted in her seat. "I didn't mean to diminish." He raised a hand gently. "Intentions are invisible, Ms. Hostin. It's the impact that echoes." The crowd shouted, "Amen." Whoopi whispered under her breath, "That's church." The energy flipped. Fans in the live audience were clapping after every line, almost sermon style. One student yelled, "Say that again, Sam." Samuel smiled. "You see? That's the problem with TV today. We mistake volume for value. Everyone wants to be heard, but nobody wants to listen." He turned towards Sunny again. "You got a platform millions watch. You owe it to them to ask questions with curiosity, not contempt." The room went silent, the kind of silence that stretches truth into clarity. Sunny swallowed hard. "I can accept that." Samuel nodded. "Then we good." 'Cause that's the first step toward growth. The audience burst into applause, so loud producers had to cut to commercial. Behind the scenes, producers whispered frantically into headsets, "This is trending live. Keep the cameras hot." Social media was already on fire. Hashtag Samuel Jackson Masterclass. Hashtag Respect on the View. Hashtag Sunny Apologize. Clips circulated before the episode even resumed. Jamie Foxx tweeted, "Sam schooling daytime TV with that velvet thunder voice." Denzel Washington posted a rare quote on X. "Some lessons need to be televised." That man's a national treasure. When the show returned, the atmosphere had changed. Even Sunny's posture softened. Whoopi leaned in. "Samuel, you've worked with everyone from Tarantino to Spike Lee. What do you think Hollywood's missing today?" "Humility," he answered without hesitation. "We're raising performers who crave attention, not artistry. But attention's like sugar. It feeds you fast, leaves you hollow." He turned again to Sunny, but now his tone was mentor-like. "When you speak to someone who's been here before you, you're borrowing time from their experience. Don't waste it trying to prove you're smarter. Use it to get wiser." The crowd gave a slow, reverent applause, not cheering, but listening. Sunny cleared her throat. "Mr. Jackson, I'll admit, I didn't intend to come off as disrespectful. I just wanted to challenge you." He smiled. "Challenge is fine. Disrespect is lazy. The difference is tone and timing. You don't poke a bear to prove you're brave. You talk to it to learn why it's still standing." Boom! The audience leapt up, cheering, stomping, applauding. "Joy," Behar muttered. "I'm putting that on a t-shirt." Sunny laughed weakly, but her eyes watered. "I hear you, loud and clear." Samuel nodded once. "Good, 'cause that's all I wanted, clarity, not chaos." By the end of the broadcast, every major outlet was carrying the story. CNN's headline, "Samuel L. Jackson schools a view on live TV. Audience gives standing ovation." Rolling Stone called it the most powerful 3 minutes of television in years. Clips of Sunny's apology trended under hashtag lesson learned. TikTok edits turned Samuel's quotes into motivational reels, set to jazz and applause. Within 24 hours, 40 million total views across platforms. Petition to protect legends from on-air disrespect hit 300,000 signatures. ABC announced a re-airing of the episode in prime time. Inside ABC headquarters, executives debated how to handle the aftershock. Some wanted to issue a joint statement of reconciliation. Others feared backlash for Sunny. But viewers weren't angry anymore. They were inspired. Emails flooded the network praising Jackson for turning confrontation into conversation. One message from a teacher read, "I showed that clip to my students. That's how you correct with class." Another, "Samuel L. Jackson just saved daytime television." Later that week, Jackson appeared via satellite for a short segment, this time from his home office, relaxed, smiling. Whoopi asked, "What do you think America learned from this, Sam?" He chuckled. "That respect ain't old-fashioned, it's foundational. When we lose it, we lose the plot. Sunny nodded. I want to thank you publicly. You gave me a lesson I didn't know I needed. He grinned. Hey, I'm an old teacher in disguise. You learn or you repeat the course. The studio erupted in laughter and applause. Polls showed the View's favorability ratings actually increased after the broadcast. What had started as a scandal became a cultural moment, a masterclass in emotional intelligence and public accountability. Newsweek called it a turning point in live television ethics. Young journalists began quoting Jackson's line, "Intentions are invisible. It's the impact that echoes." It was printed on classroom walls, leadership manuals, and viral Instagram quotes. But the story wasn't done. Because while the public celebrated, a storm brewed online. Think pieces labeling Sunny the face of modern arrogance, and hashtags demanding ABC discipline her. The internet, once a tool for outrage, was now a jury with no recess. And soon, that digital anger would push the network and Sunny herself to a breaking point no one expected. It had been barely 48 hours since Samuel L. Jackson's second appearance on The View, but the tremors hadn't stopped. America wasn't just talking. It was arguing, analyzing, and applauding. Cable pundits couldn't get enough. Late-night hosts replayed his intentions, our invisible line like it was gospel. Meanwhile, Twitter, now X, turned into a digital boxing ring. Sunny Hostin embarrassed the entire show. Finally, someone said what legends have been feeling for years. That wasn't an interview. That was a sermon. Within 72 hours, hashtags flooded every corner of the internet. Hashtag respect the legend. Hashtag cancel the View. Hashtag Samuel Jackson Masterclass. Hashtag Sunny Hostin exposed, but the most brutal one of all, hashtag Sunny the Racist, began trending at #1 globally. Clips were everywhere. On TikTok, creators stitched together before and after videos of Sunny's smirks and Samuel's stone-faced replies. YouTubers released breakdowns titled, "Samuel L. Jackson just ended cancel culture with class." In one viral montage, his calm stare during her sarcastic question was set to the soundtrack of The Avengers. The caption read, "When Nick Fury activates the Respect Initiative." But things turned darker when memes became manifestos. Anonymous pages began labeling Sunny as disrespectful to elders, condescending to black men, and Hollywood's hidden elitist. Even ABC's official accounts were swarmed. Every post, regardless of topic, was flooded with replies. "We want Sunny out. Don't preach equality while silencing legends." Where's the accountability? The PR team couldn't delete fast enough. In a high-rise overlooking Manhattan, the mood was chaotic. Phones rang nonstop. Executives paced like generals before a scandal war. "We can't control this," one producer said. "Every time we post, they drag Sunny. If we fire her, we look weak. If we don't, we look complicit." The network president slammed his folder shut. "We need Samuel. Get him on the phone. If anyone can calm this storm, it's the man who started it." Meanwhile, Sunny was in her dressing room, blinds closed, phone off, world silent. She hadn't slept in 2 days. "I didn't mean it that way," she muttered to her reflection. It was just a question. But the internet had already passed judgment. In Los Angeles, Samuel L. Jackson was at home, feeding his dog, completely unbothered. He hadn't given a single interview since the firestorm. His only public comment had been another cryptic tweet. "A man who shouts loses the crowd. A man who stands still makes them listen." It went viral instantly. Commentators called it the silence that shook ABC. In just 24 hours, 40 million impressions, and one undeniable truth. Samuel L. Jackson wasn't just a story. He was now the standard. Monday morning, ABC executives announced a special live event titled, "The Conversation Continues, a sit-down with Samuel L. Jackson." It would air nationwide, simulcast across platforms. The network called an exploration of dignity and dialogue. Everyone else knew what it really was. Damage control. And America was watching. When the broadcast began, the screen faded from black to the familiar The View set. But this time, no audience. Just dimmed lights, 5 chairs, and one man seated at the center. Samuel looked straight into the camera. I didn't come back to argue. I came back to clarify. The nation leaned in. Respect, he began slowly, isn't a privilege you earn after success. It's a language you speak, even when no one's listening. He paused, his tone firm but measured. Last week, I got applause for saying what should have been obvious. That's not victory. That's proof we've forgotten manners. Joy Behar nodded silently. Whoopi folded her arms, clearly moved. Samuel continued. We talk about cancel culture, but what we really need is context culture. People make mistakes. But the real test is whether they're willing to learn, not whether we're willing to laugh. Sunny shifted in her seat. Cameras zoomed in. Her eyes glistened. I said things I shouldn't have, she admitted. And I didn't understand what that moment meant. I do now. Samuel turned to her gently. Growth isn't easy, Ms. Hostin. It's uncomfortable by design. But once you've been corrected publicly, you've got two choices. Hide or heal. She nodded. I choose to heal. The audience watching from home erupted on social media. That's how you do it. He didn't destroy her. He delivered her. By nightfall, the clip had reached 80 million views. Hashtags flipped overnight from rage to reverence. Hashtag healed not humbled. Hashtag Samuel Jackson wisdom. Hashtag respect revolution. Major publications jumped in. Time, Samuel L. Jackson redefines accountability. Vanity Fair, the R correction and why America needed this moment. The Washington Post, one man's calm changed the tone of television. Even Oprah weighed in. Samuel L. Jackson didn't scold, he taught. This was ministry disguised as entertainment. By Tuesday, ABC's stock price had ticked upward. Viewership numbers for The View hit record highs. Advertisers called it the redemption episode. In a press statement, ABC thanked Jackson for his leadership in guiding respectful discourse. They also announced a new initiative, the Samuel L. Jackson Fellowship for Emerging Broadcasters, teaching ethics, empathy, and excellence. Fans online cheered. They turned a scandal into a scholarship. That's legacy. Sunny Hostin herself pledged to donate to the first-year fund. Her Instagram caption read, "When you know better, you do better. Thank you, Mr. Jackson." A week later, Samuel appeared on Good Morning America for a short, reflective interview. He smiled through his signature glasses, voice warm and grounded. "People think I put Sunny in her place," he said. "Nah, I helped her find her footing. There's a difference." When asked if he was offended by her earlier comments, he shrugged. You can't offend a man who knows who he is. That line stopped the host mid-sentence. It was a quote that summarized the entire saga. Within hours, it was trending worldwide. You can't offend a man who knows who he is. Schools, corporations, and even churches began using the clips as training material. In leadership seminars, Jackson's calm confrontation became a model for assertive grace. Psychologists analyzed it on podcasts. He diffused aggression without aggression. That emotional intelligence at its peak. Meanwhile, in Hollywood, studios started booking him not just as an actor, but as a speaker. He became the unexpected symbol of cultural correction, proof that experience still outranks ego. Months later, Sunny Hostin publicly thanked him again during an award ceremony. Samuel L. Jackson didn't cancel me. He corrected me. And that moment saved not just my career, it saved my character. The audience gave her a standing ovation. Samuel, watching from his seat, nodded, that knowing paternal nod that says lesson complete. America realized something rare had happened on daytime TV. Not scandal, not division, but redemption live in front of millions. Commentators compared it to a social reboot, because while the internet initially wanted blood, it got balance instead, the kind of balance only a man with 5 decades of discipline could deliver. As the noise settled, one question lingered. What would Samuel L. Jackson do next? Rumors swirled that ABC wanted him to host a 1-hour special titled Legends Speak, The Power of Respect. Others claimed universities were vying to name programs after him. But Jackson, true to form, didn't chase attention. He quietly told reporters, "My job's done. The rest is for them to carry forward. And that's exactly what would set the stage for the final act, when his closing message to America would echo louder than any lecture. It was Sunday evening. The city skyline shimmered, news tickers slowed, and for once, social media was silent. ABC had announced a final one-hour special. Samuel L. Jackson, a conversation on respect. No promos, no drama, just his name. And yet, at 8 p.m., 41 million Americans tuned in. There he was, alone on stage, no moderator, no applause track, a single spotlight, a glass of water, and that voice that could split granite or soothe an infant. I never wanted to go viral, he began. I just wanted to be heard. Like every man who's worked, fought, and aged in a world that forgets gratitude faster than it learns it. He leaned forward, elbows on knees. Respect is not about agreeing. It's about recognizing. You don't have to like me to listen to me. But if you interrupt a man's legacy to prove your relevance, you lose both. A slow camera pan revealed handwritten notes on the table. Stories of forgotten artists, underpaid crew members, mentors long gone. These are the people who build Hollywood's backbone, he said. We clap for stars or forget the ones who carry the cables. The audience at home typed, tweeted, wept. He looked straight into the lens. To the young folks watching, your generation has the loudest microphone in history. Use it for light, not noise. Every tweet, every clip, every comment you make. That's your resume now. Make it one your kids can read without shame. He paused. Because if fame's the meal, respect is the seasoning. And a meal without flavor dies halfway down. Twitter exploded. This man just cooked the culture itself. Fame is the meal. Respect is the seasoning. Quote of the year. Mid-broadcast. A pre-recorded message aired. Sunny Hostin, sitting in her empty dressing room, spoke directly to camera. Her tone was humble, eyes glistening. To Mr. Jackson and everyone watching, I let my curiosity turn into criticism. I confuse challenge with confrontation. And I've learned that when you face a giant, you listen before you swing. Cut back to Samuel. He nodded slowly. Apology accepted, he said softly. That's how grown folks fix things. The studio crowd, minimal but emotional, stood and applauded. By dawn Monday, the special had broken viewership records. Hashtags flipped again, this time celebrating healing. Hashtag Respect Reborn, hashtag Jackson Doctrine, hashtag Sunny and Sam. Colleges added the episode to media ethics syllabi. CNN analysts called it the moment America grew up on live television. Even the White House press secretary tweeted, every industry needs its Samuel L. Jackson moment. For once, both conservatives and liberals agreed on something. The lesson of respect transcended politics. Off camera, Samuel sat in his trailer, lights dimmed, jazz humming softly from an old vinyl player. His wife, LaTanya Richardson Jackson, entered with 2 cups of tea. You realize you just gave America therapy for free? She teased. He smiled. Didn't charge him because they wouldn't pay attention if I did. He sighed, gazing at the city skyline through the blinds. It wasn't about revenge. It was about rhythm. When respect's offbeat, somebody's got to tap the drum again. LaTanya laughed. And you sure hit it hard. Weeks later, ABC officially launched the Samuel L. Jackson Fellowship, a mentorship program teaching empathy and ethics to aspiring journalists. The first lecture opened with his recorded voice. Be firm, be fair, be respectful, and if you can't be any of those, be quiet. Graduates wore lapel pins shaped like microphones crossed with film reels, inscribed with his initials, SLJ. Everywhere from universities to corporate boardrooms, that quote hung on walls. Intentions are invisible. It's the impact that echoes. Talk shows across networks began adapting a new standard, the Jackson Rule. No question asked without context. No debate without empathy. Producers credited him with sparking a respect renaissance. Joy Behar joked during a later broadcast. Samuel didn't cancel Sunny. He calibrated the whole country. Even critics who once mocked his anger now praise his articulation. The New Yorker wrote, for decades he was known as the loudest man in the room. Now he's the calmest teacher in America. Months later, the Academy honored him at a private gala. A montage of his career played. From Pulp Fiction to Coach Carter, to that unforgettable View moment. When he took the stage, the crowd rose as one. "I never asked to be a role model," he said. "I just refused to be a bad one." He raised his award. To every artist, journalist, or dreamer, you don't earn respect by demanding it. You earn it by demonstrating it, especially when someone tries to take it away. Thunderous applause. Camera pan showed Denzel Washington wiping a tear, Viola Davis clapping furiously, and even Sunny Hostin standing, smiling proudly. The next day, America buzzed again, but differently this time. News anchors used phrases like Grace Revival and the Age of Accountability. Even high school debate clubs began opening meetings with a short clip of Jackson saying, "Challenge with curiosity, not contempt." Parents shared the episode with their kids as an example of how to stand firm without shouting. It wasn't just entertainment anymore. It had become education. Months later, Samuel sat alone on a park bench in New York, scarf wrapped tight, coffee steaming in hand. A teenage fan approached shyly. "Mr. Jackson," that speech on TV, "it made me talk to my dad again. We hadn't spoken in a year." Samuel smiled. "Then the job's done." The boy asked, "Can I take a selfie?" "Sure, kid. Just make sure you look respectful in it." They both laughed. As the kid walked away, Samuel whispered to himself, "If one person learned how to listen, the noise was worth it." Fade to black. His voice, deep, resonant, timeless, fills the silence. Respect is the bridge between generations. The young need guidance. The old need patience. When both meet in the middle, you get progress. The world doesn't need louder voices. It needs clearer ones. So speak with truth, listen with humility, and remember, legends aren't born. They're earned through consistency. The screen fades to white text, dedicated to every teacher who ever taught with love and firmness. The special ends. Social media bursts with clips, quotes, tears, and gratitude. Samuel L. Jackson's word becomes sound bites for a generation. A new hashtag trends worldwide. Hashtag respect lives here. What began as arrogance ended as awakening. Sunny Hostin found humility. ABC found integrity. And America rediscovered what real dialogue sounds like. Disagreement without destruction. Samuel L. Jackson didn't just win an argument. He restored order in a noisy age, one calm sentence at a time.